Hello and welcome to this week's Talking Smack. I'm Drew Juicel, and with me this week are Stuart Fulbrook and the man himself, the guy that put the eek in geek. He's back, people. It's Pete Lidbetter.
Good evening.
People's Pete.
People's Pete.
Can I get an applause in that one?
No.
No?
No. No. So, as always, we'll start with this week. I don't think there's been a hell of a lot this week that has been going on, but...
yeah, we've had a few bits.
Okay.
Pete's prepared.
Pete's prepared.
Prepared Pete.
Yep.
Yeah. Piss poor preparation leads to piss poor performance. Is that right? That's what they say? Something like that. Anyway.
Podcast Pete, we'll go with that.
Podcast Pete.
Yeah, Podcast Pete.
Podcast Pete is back. He's back, people. So, Podcast Pete.
Yes.
What have you been doing in the enormous amount of time it's been since you've been here?
I have done shitloads.
I don't believe you.
Oh, yeah, I have. So much so that I had to write it all down.
Did you finish Jessica Jones?
Wait for it. I've watched Deadpool at the cinema, the Back to the Future documentary on Netflix, Jessica Jones, the entire season.
Holy fuck.
Kingsman, Jurassic World, The Princess Bride.
Nice.
It's about goddamn time.
And I've also been cracking on with some DC animated movies. I've watched Assault on Arkham and Justice League War.
Nice.
Trying to catch up with those as well.
Fuck me. See, he's away for 2 weeks and all of a sudden...
4 weeks.
Everything.
2 weeks.
It's been 4 weeks.
Oh, I meant 2 podcasts.
Oh, okay.
Excuse my stupidness.
We'll let you off. You're drinking.
Well, I'm not actually. Well, yeah, technically I am. But, well,
I'm not drinking as he puts the bottle down.
I was putting it down silently. Shh. Would you like to elaborate on any of them?
Princess Bride.
Yes.
Princess Bride. Okay. I enjoyed it. I don't think I enjoyed it as much as what I should have, considering I've only watched it 20 years later than everyone else.
I think probably what it is that you haven't watched it 20 times yet.
Yeah, but I think because I should have watched it 20 years ago, then I maybe would have had that incentive to watch it 20 times. Watching it, it was a good movie, but I'd probably quite happily not ever see it again.
Whoa, that's controversial.
Doesn't have the nostalgic feel for Pete.
Yeah, I think because I've watched it 20 years later, obviously it's lost that 80s feel.
What you
Dated.
need...
It is a good movie, don't get me wrong. I was laughing for it. Amy, I think, fell asleep towards the end. But I did have a good chuckle because it is so well done.
What you need is to get a load of marijuana, smoke it, and then watch it. Oh, you've got bad lungs.
Yeah.
Heroin it is then. Straight into the vein.
Fine.
Huh?
Fine.
Excellent. I don't know whether heroin would make you enjoy that film or not. I've never done heroin, so I wouldn't have a clue. Although I have seen the film on numerous occasions, and I think it's brilliant. So
It was good, but I probably wouldn't watch it again.
wow, that's just weird. But you would watch the Daredevil director's cut again?
Probably, yeah.
You fucking moron. Okay, so you watched that and you thought it was good.
Jessica Jones was amazing.
Yep.
I'm so pleased I got to watch that, and that's just got me super hyped now for Daredevil.
Which is
10 days away.
Next
Yeah.
Friday.
Yeah.
Kilgrave's wicked, isn't he?
Fantastic. Well, David Tennant's a brilliant actor anyway. I like him in a lot of things he does, but...
who? Doctor Who, you mean?
David Tennant.
Doctor Who?
Doctor Who for...
Yeah, Doctor Who.
Okay.
John Smith. Yeah, Jessica Jones is good, yeah. It's not as good as Princess Bride, but it's good. Anything else?
Deadpool? Thoughts on Deadpool?
I thought Deadpool was amazing. Fantastic movie. I'd quite happily go and see that more times than Princess Bride. and the director's cut. I'd probably watch Deadpool over and over again.
Deadpool is a good movie. It's not as good as Princess Bride, though.
I knew that was coming.
Stu, what do you think? Better than Deadpool or better But is Princess Bride better than Deadpool?
It's definitely got a more nostalgic part in my heart. But I kind of understand what Pete's saying. Like, sometimes if you don't watch a film straight away, it doesn't have the same effect that, you know, when you watch a film.
It's got some of the best one-liners of any film ever made.
Oh, it's brilliant. I love it. You're preaching to the choir with me. It's him that needs...
I think you need to at least watch it twice to get all the wicked one-liners out of it.
But I love the wicked one-liners, and actually at the moment my app on the Family Guy game, I don't know if you guys have played that, the Quest for something.
The Quest for something, is that what it's called?
That's what it's called. But they're actually doing a whole Princess Bride themed game at the moment. So you've got to unlock Wesley and go off and do all these quests and, you know, win the Fair Maiden, and every mission you get with a new thing you unlock, he comes up with one-liners. That's pretty cool.
Anyone you like a peanut?
I now get those references.
Well, there you go.
So
see, now you can join in, and pretty soon you'll get the Blues Brothers ones as well.
Yep, I got that to watch. I was going to try and watch that today, but I didn't get around to it.
But you did read a comic today.
I did.
Amazing.
I read quite a lot of comics now.
That's good.
Sean.
Okay, so Deadpool was amazing.
Yep. What else have I done?
You had a massive list a minute ago.
Oh, Jurassic World. I did that.
What do you mean you did it?
Well, yeah, I watched it again.
You watched it more than once?
Well, once at the cinema and...
So you've seen that more than you've seen Princess Bride?
Oh, it's just depressing, isn't it? It's just depressing. You fucking Philistine. Yeah, that film's rubbish, but we know that. Well, we know my opinion on it. We've been there, we've done that. But well done for watching it again, rather than watching the Blues Brothers.
What about the DC animated movies?
Assault on Arkham was really good. I was well chuffed I watched that one.
I watched Bad Blood the other day.
You weren't too keen on Bad Blood, were you?
No, I thought it was a bit average.
That's the next on my list to watch.
Assault on Arkham is kind of what I was expecting a Suicide Squad to be like.
Yeah.
A little bit.
In fact, that's the reason why I watched it, because it is like the Suicide Squad. So I thought I'd give it a go and see roughly how loosely it's going to be related to the movie. So that was cool.
Okay. Stu?
I've been catching up on my comic books.
Okay.
And I've been to LFCC.
Okay.
That's pretty much all I've been up to since I was last here.
And what comic books have you caught up on?
Oh, I've read loads. I read Star Wars Shattered Empire. I read all of that miniseries. That was actually quite interesting. It wasn't what I was expecting it to be when I read it.
Okay.
It's actually based around Poe Dameron's parents.
Right.
And them and what they did just after the Battle of Endor. So that was good. Caught up on all my Red Hood and Arsenal. Started catching up on the new run of Deadpool. Spider-Man 2, the Michael Bendis, the Miles Morales Spider-Man.
Okay.
Phenomenal. Still think it's the best Spider-Man title that's coming out at the moment. And I was at LFCC. And I met some comic book people.
Some comic book people? What, people from a comic book or people who make comic books?
I met the artist Jorge Molina, who did all the artwork on A-Force. He's doing the current artwork on A-Force from Marvel. I met Kieran Gillen, who's the current writer for Darth Vader from Marvel. So both very nice, both very friendly. So almost bought a T-shirt with a name badge on it that said, "My name is Indigo Montoya," and then it had his...
Yeah.
I get that reference.
Yeah.
You killed my father.
That's it.
Prepared today. So. Yeah, my wife's got a T-shirt with that on it, but not the name badge one. I like the name badge one. I still want a T-shirt that says, "Anybody want a peanut?" It's still one of my favourite quotes. I have been reading a lot of comics since the last time, but I'm going to go over them a little bit and do a little bit of a review because most of them are number ones, so it'll be good to chew down, for want of a better phrase. You didn't know what you were in for, did you, boy? You sure have pretty mouth. Whatever. So...
Name your sex tape. Yeah, go on.
It's him. He looks like he should be playing a banjo and sitting on a bank.
What? Is it because the beard's too long?
It's the beard and the cap.
Yeah, what?
It's very much a...
Yeah.
Is it Tucker and Dale versus Evil star, isn't it?
I don't know. I was thinking more of Deliverance.
Deliverance.
Have you seen Deliverance?
Squeal like a pig.
You sure got a pretty mouth.
Julian
It's good to have you back,
Banjos.
Pete.
Thanks, it's nice to be back.
Stuart's pleased. His human shield has arrived.
Yeah, I heard about that last time.
You're still a prick, Stu.
Love you too.
Other than that, I've watched some more Agent Carter. Yeah, that's okay. I watched Bad Blood. Didn't think that was all right.
Rebels.
Huh?
Rebels.
I've been watching a lot of Star Wars Rebels season 2. That's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. Some kids came in the shop earlier and thought I was a dickhead for watching it. I was like, you guys don't know what you're talking about. Go home and watch it now, or I'll come around and slap your mother. So, whether they will or not, I
Those
don't care.
kids should know better.
They should.
You're a dickhead, even though it has nothing to do with Rebels.
No, that is not very nice.
Do you want to say
is-
that again? It actually kind of makes sense.
Those kids should know better. You're a dickhead, even though you watch Rebels. Even though, oh fuck it. Even if you didn't watch Rebels.
That's staying in.
That's the title of your sex tape.
Yeah, other than that, I watched a bit of Agent Carter. I quite like that show, but it looks like it might not get a 3rd series.
I thought I saw somewhere it was going to get a 3rd series.
No, I think she's going off to do something else, isn't she?
Well, she said that she'll be able to do both.
Oh, okay.
So, hopefully, it'll get another series. I don't know. But the numbers have dropped off dramatically, apparently. So, but then what makes me laugh about these things is they put them in a prime slot and then move it to a ridiculous slot and then moan when when the ratings drop off. It's like, well, don't put it on at like 11:30 on a Friday night because everyone's down the pub getting shit faced.
But to be fair, all the ratings are crap anyway because most people just record it and watch it back 2 days later.
Well,
Or do those still count?
Well,
How
generally,
would
the
that-
ratings... well, I don't know now. Now it's digital. I don't know how it works. But it used to be that they used to just ask people... They used to do surveys in the street and ask people what they'd been watching and then kind of extrapolate that and kind of go, well, if these 5,000 people watch so-and-so, that means nationwide there must have been 3 million people watching it. I don't know whether it's different now.
It'd be all done on Twitter, wouldn't it? It'd be like, hashtag did you not?
I don't know. It's the name of his sex tape.
What? Hashtag did you not?
So, right then. Well, yeah, I'm going to run some reviews of comics now. I've got a few to talk about. I think you've at least read one of them and you've at least read one of them, so we might even be able to join in, which would be nice, wouldn't it? Eh? Nice.
Oh.
Like
Nice.
it's meant to be a comic podcast. Bring this
What did
list
you
up.
read then?
Coming of the Superman. Name of my sex tape.
Oh.
The first thing I want to talk about, first comic, is Neil Adams' Coming of the Supermen. And obviously it's written and drawn by Neil Adams, with Alex Sinclair doing the colorization of it. And we're on, obviously, the first one of, is it 6, I think it is? And I really like the first one, actually. The basic premise, without giving away too many spoilers, is that Darkseid has sent through some kind of great big gorilla monster-y thing, whose name escapes me, and all of a sudden 3 Supermen turn up. Different, they're not all the same. They're kind of like, just look like they're all wearing Superman's outfits and they've got Superman's powers. And the real Superman's kind of watching it and going, what's going on? And then he goes over there and he has a fight with them. And that's basically it, really. I've just
They
given
kind
it-
of fanboy him as Superman a little bit, don't they, the other 3?
Yeah, but we don't know anything about where they've come from, what they are, and Superman doesn't really want to speak to them. So it'll be interesting to see how that story develops. But I thought it was good, and Neil Adams' artwork's always been
Neil Adams is one of my favourite artists. He's just
he's extremely cool. I like the shading and everything that he does. It's really excellent. So I would suggest that if you haven't already got that book, to pick it up, because it's well worth. It's certainly a much better start to that book than we saw with Dark Knight.
Yes.
Having said that, the third book in the Dark Knight series is now out and actually has ramped up quite considerably. So that's worth checking out if you haven't checked it out already, because the first two books, meh. Third book, much better. Hopefully we're now seeing the story really begins to take off, and that'll be why it got such great reviews, because it actually has improved dramatically. So I diversed a little bit there. The second book I'm going to talk about is Black Widow #1, which is the new release of Black Widow. Interesting start to the whole story. In fact, there's virtually no dialogue in the entire first issue at all. Most of it is just Black Widow kicking the crap out of people all the way through, and obviously escaping from some kind of facility. It's written by Chris Samney and Mark Waid, and it's drawn by Chris Samney. I don't know, the art style for me is a little bit, I won't say rubbish, because it's still really good, but it's not, I don't know, it's all very, I can't even describe it. This is not a good way of doing a review, is it, if I can't describe it?
You're the only one who's read it.
Yeah, I know. It's, well, it's kind of, there's a lot going on a page, put it that way. There's a lot going on, and it feels like sometimes, because there's no, because what it is the first book is like an opening sequence of a film. You know, when you see a really big action opening sequence before it breaks into any kind of exposition. And that's how this book plays out. But because there's so much going on the page without really any kind of speech to kind of lead your eye across the page, your eye just gets blasted with so much stuff going on all at once. I wasn't overly thrilled with the opening of that book, but there's enough there to make me want to know what's happening and why it's kicking off like this. So yeah, it's worth checking out, especially if you like kind of Black Widow. But I'll reserve judgment until the story really begins to take off a little bit. So that's that one. Then there's, from Marvel, you've read this, Pete, haven't you? Amazing Spider-Man and Silk, the Spider-Fly Effect, #1.
Yep.
What did you think of that?
I thought it was pretty good, actually. I mean, I don't want to go into too much. I know it's 6 issues, isn't it? It's a short run. But I'm already starting to feel like the similarities with Back to the Future. Well, I mean, and they even make that reference themselves. Yeah. But
I mean, basically, the premise is that Spider-Man and Silk meet up with a baddie called Chronosaurus Rex.
Chronosaurus Rex. We don't know if he's a baddie yet, though, do we?
Okay, well, they meet up with someone who's dressed up as a dinosaur, and he's got a time machine, basically, and he takes all 3 of them back in time.
And he's got a cool name.
Well, they take the piss out of his name, actually, quite a bit.
I like his name. It's better than a Dominus Rex.
This is true, but then...
That is a good point.
Yeah. So, and then they go back in time, and when they're fighting, and... but I really like... I'm not a massive Spider-Man fan, but I really like the characterisation, and they've got Spider-Man's wisecracking down to a T in this. It's written by Robbie Thompson. The pen and ink, which I always think is hilarious coming from London, that means something entirely different, is done by Todd Nauk, N-A-U-K, sorry if I mispronounced that, with colours from Veronica Nandini. So, but definitely out of all of the #1s, there's a couple of others that I really like, but I think this week's, that's probably been my favourite book that I've read, actually. And seeing that I'm not a massive Spider-Man fan, I think it's kind of...
It's not too Spider-Man-y though, is it? Anyone could pick that up and go, I'll enjoy that.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think you need to be a big Spider-Man fan to just enjoy the book, because it's got a lot of action in it, it's funny, and it's got time travelling. Yeah. I mean, it's like ticks all the boxes.
Well, it's perfect because you don't need to know any of the backstory for any of the characters because
No.
it's time travel.
Absolutely. So yeah, again, I think that's probably the best book I've read this week. Although I've got 3 more, which I'm just going to rattle through actually, because I don't want to just jabber on without you guys getting a word in. But there's Another Castle from Omni Press, not Omni. Thinking of OCP. Don't want to OCP. Which is a brilliantly drawn and written kind of fairy tale about a princess and this kind of evil dude who looks a bit like a skeleton, but and she gets taken. And the thing is, she's a princess, but actually she just wants to go out beating the shit out of people with a big sword because like she's a bit hard and she doesn't want to sit at home having her hair and makeup done and all that sort of stuff and looking at shoes.
Like Stu.
Although like Stu. Although she does like shoes. She even mentioned, she's like, you know, I like shoes, but
who doesn't?
I'd like to kick people in the head with them, sort of thing. So,
it's more of a manga style art, isn't it?
Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean,
and it's lots of
probably
bright colours, pinks and yellows, and
it's really vibrant and really bright and very fairy tale like.
Yeah.
But it's got some good meat to the story as well and some really interesting characters, and it's a really great start to the series. So again, I'd recommend it. Then we've got Army of Darkness: Furious Road, which is kind of like a mashup of Evil Dead and Mad Max.
Oh, cool.
There's not a lot more you need to say about that, really. Ash only appears at the end of the book, but there's at least 5 other characters in it who are pretty badass. So that's worth checking out. And then there was a new Predator from Dark Horse called Life and Death, written by Dan Abnett, who's a good writer from the other books of his I've read. And it's brilliant because it's the colonial marines, so it's got a bit of aliens about it in the way it starts off, and they land on a planet basically where there's predators and all shit kicks off towards the end of the book.
Cool.
And it's that actually I read that today and I was like, yeah, that's pretty fucking cool actually. I really like that. I mean, I've always been a big Predator and Aliens fan anyway, and this kind of meshes them together really nicely. So yeah, I don't think out of all of them, I think the only one that really kind of missed its mark was Black Widow, but then I'd give it another try. I wouldn't discount it completely. I think as the story develops, it could become really interesting. But I would say Amazing Spider-Man and Silk, The Spider-Fly Effect is probably my book of the week. So
need a little jingle there for that.
Book of the week. So I think we should move on now, and we're going to move on to a new section that has been devised by the People's Pete, and this is called You're Asking for a Smack. And this is a bit where Pete likes to ask people on our social media connections for any questions that they'd like us to answer, which is going to be interesting because we don't know anything. So, Pete...
We know some stuff.
Do we? Pete,
Yes.
what questions have you had and by who? And what are your answers? Because Stuart and I are just going to sit here and drink now.
What?
What?
I thought we were going to openly discuss them as a group.
Oh, okay.
People,
What, like therapy?
We got a message coming this afternoon from Harley Hood. So it cropped up on Facebook, and he's asked a question that he wants to start reading some more Marvel comics, and he wants to know a good place to start. He's currently into Avengers and X-Men, but he's not sure what standalone like comics he should jump into or any series that we recommend.
I know, perfect place to start. Number 1 of any of the runs. It's a good place to start, I would say.
I knew you were going to say that.
Oh. Well, I like to think I'm consistent.
But what do you think?
Well,
As a comic book store owner, what would you recommend to customers that jump in and go, I'm looking to get a comic?
Well, I mean, if you're interested in a specific run, the best thing to do is look online for what's called jumping on points. Now, for example, if you wanted to start reading Batman and you look at it and it's on number 358, for example, and that's where you've picked it up. If you look online, you should be able to find what they call jumping on points, which is where a story arc is finished and another one is about to start.
Oh, okay.
So, for example, a lot of the time they'll collect, for the trade paperbacks, they collect the issues together, and that will be one story arc. Now, some of them have longer story arcs, so you'd need to buy 3 trade paperbacks to get that kind of whole story arc. But they do have jumping on points, and you know, you can find quite easily where, if you like, for example, if you want X-Men, obviously X-Men's enormous. You know, it's been going since like the 60s, so you know, you want to be kind of finding out. The best bet is to look. What I'm saying is basically the best bet is to look online, find out your characters that you want, find out where they come into the comics, and then look for a jumping on point.
That makes sense.
The thing with comics, especially nowadays, rather than a couple of years ago, is they're constantly restarting series as well, so it's easy to jump on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, those ones I went over today, I mean, we're looking at 6 number ones.
Yeah.
There's normally new number ones every week.
Every week,
Yeah.
pretty much, isn't there? You could jump
And you've
in.
got DC. I know he was after Marvel, but DC are completely relaunching in June.
Yeah. July.
You've got an X-Men story starting at the end of this month.
Yeah.
From number
and
1.
Avengers Standoff Assault on Pleasant Hill has just started as well. So I would suggest that he gets that, and Spiderfly Effect. So, you know, I mean,
The Spiderfly Effect's a good one to jump in on, actually, I recommend.
Yeah, I would say so.
If you wanted something new and up to date and without any kind of ties to anything before,
yeah,
that's
or
a pretty
just
good place to
look
jump
for, you know, and pick up the trade paperbacks, because you get 6 comics, roughly. Normally, it's 6 comics condensed into a book, which has more or less a whole story arc in it. So, you know, you're not left needing to get the next one, even though, you know, it's like an episode with an overriding story. So you've got the increasing universe story arc, but individual story arcs moving through it.
It's a bit like a season of a TV show, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah,
It leaves you open for the next book, but you don't need to go to the next book.
No. So that's a good. I would say that's the best thing to do. Look for the jumping on points. Get the trade paperbacks, and just look for where if he's already kind of keen on X-Men and Avengers.
and Avengers, yeah.
You know, I mean, there's various kind of X-Men and Avengers titles.
Well, I straight away thought of the Avengers versus X-Men title.
Well, yeah. I mean,
That's a couple of years old, but that's still quite new.
yeah. It's difficult when, I mean, I always kind of, if people come into the shop, I always try and steer them towards the new releases, because if you go for an old one, then you're looking at having to try and find all of the issues that go with it, unless you can buy something like a complete run. I occasionally clump complete runs together. Well, I've got the entire 9 books of Secret Wars at the moment that are clumped together, and I'm selling that as an entire run. So it's difficult to pick up. So I would suggest either going for ones that are up to number 5 now, because then you're looking at, you could pick up 7, 8, 9, knowing full well that in a very short time 1 to 6 will be a trade.
Yeah.
And it's, yeah, and like Stu says, you know, there's lots and lots of new number 1s coming all the time, and Marvel have pretty much just rebooted, so even the ones that are a little bit further in aren't that old that you wouldn't be able to get the issues anyway.
Yeah.
It's very rare now you get a book that's in the hundreds before it gets restarted.
Yeah, it gets restarted.
Yeah, so...
Yeah. So that's what I would suggest.
Yeah, that's a pretty good suggestion. But I didn't know about jumping on points. I didn't know you could find them online.
Pete, have you got any more in People's Corner?
Well, we got another one. We got one from Dan.
Dan who? This isn't Dan who was on the podcast, is
This
it?
is Dan that was on the podcast.
If only we had some listeners that weren't on the podcast. That would be amazing.
They're going to
Stop
cotton on to
inviting
this.
them
But Dan asked us. Dan asked us what we think is is the best comic book superhero computer game to date.
Well, there's quite a few. Now, we were talking about this before we started recording the podcast, and we were wondering whether it's specifically superheroes, as in comic book superheroes, recognisable superheroes, or people in games that have had powers. For example, in Infamous, I would say they're all superheroes, the characters in Infamous. What do you think?
What do I think the best game is?
No, what do you think? Do you think we should go with just...
Well, obviously there's Crackdown as well.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a similar type of thing. I think it depends, doesn't it? Because if Pete just said comic book.
Well, the actual question that Dan put to us was superhero computer games to date.
So superhero,
So
so not comic
it's
book. So it could just
superhero.
be a... Yeah, so I would count something like Infamous or Crackdown.
Yeah, I think so. I think both of them. Yeah, Crackdown, that's a great game.
Even though my answer would be Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, I think you're going to be hard pushed to beat that Arkham Asylum, really.
I still think it's definitely the best of that Batman series. I said when you were fighting in that game, you felt more in control than you did in the later ones, where it just seemed like you were pressing the same button and going through a series of...
I think it being enclosed and being able to hang... And because it was enclosed and a lot of the rooms were square, jumping from the gargoyles to the other gargoyles and then dropping down and getting people, I think that mechanic worked much better in that game than it did in any of the others.
In an open environment. It was just too big.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
I thought the enclosed environment worked really well. Obviously, it kind
of had an eerie feeling to it as well,
Yeah.
didn't it? A bit like BioShock, something like that, where you're
Yeah.
in that enclosed environment and it's all very close and very...
But when you play it for the first time, do you not think, oh my God, this game would be wicked in a bigger outside world?
You do, absolutely.
And then you play in the outside world, you're like, actually, it worked better in that environment.
Well, be careful what you wish for.
Exactly.
Isn't that right, Ghostbusters fans?
Injustice is another one that's very popular, isn't it? Gods Among Us, the
Yeah.
computer game.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's another one. There's a.
I played the app for that one. It was amazing, the app.
Then you've got. I mean, if we're looking at fighting games, you've got Capcom versus Marvel. Marvel versus Capcom. In fact, get it round the right way. That was an amazing game. Absolutely brilliant. I would put a nod towards Lego Marvel Superheroes,
Yes, definitely.
because that was just absolutely brilliant. Better than any of the DC ones, I think, personally.
Yeah, definitely.
It's got Spider-Man in it.
Yeah,
No, not because it's got Spider-Man in it.
it has got Spider-Man in it.
Well, I know it has, but I don't know. I really enjoyed the first Lego Batman. The first one was fantastic. And then they did Lego Batman 2 with the DC superheroes, and it just started to get a little bit too... It lost the Batman feel. Because you were doing Batman levels, and you had Batman and Robin, and you had to do different things, but other people turned up, whereas Marvel has gone straight in and gone, right, we're having a whole Marvel universe made of Lego. It's not based on anyone in particular.
On the mic, Pete. You see how passionate he was getting there.
Yeah, yeah.
He's waving his arms around so much he smacked the microphone.
I love Lego, I love Marvel.
And you really love Spider-Man.
And I really do love Spider-Man.
Yeah, we know. I'd like to make a mention for Superman on the Atari 2600. That was awesome. Where you could actually walk with your character into a phone box and then fly out of it. Amazing. Other than that, the game was terrible. But you could walk into a phone box and change into Superman and fly out of it. So that was good. Off the top of my head, I'm struggling to think of any other...
I really enjoyed the Spider-Man 2 game on the PlayStation 2. Not because it's Spider-Man,
Not because it's Spider-Man.
but
Even
because...
though it is Spider-Man.
It is Spider-Man, but it's not because it's Spider-Man the reason I'm picking it. I enjoyed it because it was one of the first superhero games where you had an open sandbox world. and
Yeah.
it was
Yeah, it was
a
actually, yeah.
complete replica of New York City. You even had the Statue of Liberty, and you couldn't actually swing out to it without grabbing onto a helicopter because your webs wouldn't get to reach it. But the fact that you could just run round New York City, and then you hear like a pedestrian in trouble, you could just drop whatever mission you were doing and go and help them. I really enjoyed just dropping out of that and going to help people. That was a cool game. But my first superhero game I ever played was the original Batman on the Spectrum.
I don't even think wow, that would...
That was the best. That was the first like superhero game I'd ever played. That was fantastic. The old,
I don't remember that.
Do you not?
No, that's annoying me.
Have to look it up. There's probably like some kind of like Spectrum emulator out there where you can download it and play it somewhere.
Did you know that, going off on a tangent slightly, but following that thread, that Clive Sinclair and Sinclair are actually launching a new Spectrum called the Vega?
Yeah, I saw that.
Did you know that they're launching one called the Vega Plus, which is a handheld, like a PSP. And it comes with 2,000 Spectrum games on it.
I hope Batman will be on there.
And the ability to just load ROMs off the internet into it. So you basically every Spectrum game ever made in a handheld. It's £100. And Shell's like, no. I'm like, oh, but... She's like, no. I'm like, oh.
Business expense.
I might have to get one to review. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Write that down.
Write that down. I'm just looking. I'm actually just having a bit of a cheat and looking up online. X-Men arcade game. Does anyone remember that? No, I don't really remember that either. The X-Men Origins Wolverine game. That was terrible.
That was so easy to complete, like
It's
your
so
achievements and your trophies from your consoles. You could burn through the game in a day and just like get everything unlocked.
Oh, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. That was amazing in the arcade.
The Deadpool game's actually pretty good as well.
I haven't played the Deadpool game actually.
Yeah, I haven't, but I was quite tempted to pick it up. Game dropped it down to like £20 the other day.
Yeah, no, that is...
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man,
That's a pretty good game actually. I played that on the 360.
I've heard that it's pretty good actually. I've heard it's quite funny, and that wasn't just from Deadpool. Didn't just say
The
that.
Punisher on the PlayStation 2,
Oh yes.
where you could you grab a person, you could kill everyone else in the room, and if you had one person left, you could then torture them to give you information, and you could pick what torture you gave them depending on the layout of the room. That was awesome.
If a little bit naughty.
Yeah, but I don't see how people didn't like that game, but they had a problem with Manhunt.
Well, Manhunt was pretty fucking bad though.
Yeah, but I could choose on how much I'd tortured this guy and ended up killing him.
Yeah, we've already done Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom. That was a brilliant game. I really like that game. It was basically Street Fighter, but with Marvel characters.
Superman Returns was an alright game. The storyline is crap on the actual game itself, but again, it was an open sandbox game where you could fly around, save people, do other things, but the fact that you could just fly everywhere is fantastic.
I think generally, what sets some of these apart from the other ones is the ones that are movie adaptations tend to be crap because
They pump them out in time for the movie,
well,
aren't
they
they?
pump them out in time for the movie and expect to sell the game on the movie's name. So ultimately looking forward to the Vega. It'd be nice. I felt a bit gutted for Sinclair when they kind of went out of business. For a start, not only was it an absolute kick in the balls to any Sinclair users that they got sold to Amstrad, and then they started making that Spectrum that was basically a CPC 464. But the reason they went out of business is because they invented the C5.
That car.
Yeah. And the motor industry was so worried about this new electric form of transport that they put in the most horrendous smear campaign to discredit it, saying that it would get crushed by lorries and all this shit. And actually, when a lot of the people who had fallen for that, like the journalists and stuff, say now that they wish they'd never done, because you see those people on those laid-back bike things, and essentially that's all it is, except it's got an electric motor in it as well. They're highly collectible now. They're very expensive. For a while you could pick them up for like 60, 70 quid, and now they cost like £3,000. Let's move on to a subject which I can't wait to get my teeth into.
Can I say it?
If you like.
Why so blue, Drew?
Well, actually, I'm not. This is the thing. I'm actually quite happy. I feel vindicated. So, the film that shall not be named, I think we can name it now because it looks absolutely horrendous. And I've never felt so happy about something being an abject failure in my entire life. So, Ghostbusters. We saw the trailer.
Yep.
Now, this is the first trailer that's meant to get people excited about it. Let's discuss it. Stu, what did you think of it?
Didn't like it. They've got the comedy's not right for... It's nothing like the original Ghostbusters at all.
Well, I don't want to blow my own trumpet. Gives me a bad back if nothing else. But I did call it. I said from the very beginning we're going to be looking at Bridesmaids with proton packs. And from the trailer, that's exactly what we got.
And Scooby-Doo.
And well, yeah, absolutely. It looks like the Scooby-Doo movie. The ghosts actually do look like the Scooby-Doo movie. On top of that, which made me even more happier, you could say, is that they went for this the amount of arguments I've had with feminists about me being sexist and all this crap, and me going, no, you're missing the point. I think it's going to be shit because the director's a hack. And they're going, well, it's all about equality, you understand. And they've produced this whole feminist argument and this whole equality argument, and the trailer comes out and they've got the most cliched black character that I've seen. It might as well be Cleveland Brown's wife from Family Guy. She's shouty, she's obnoxious, and it's everything that black characters shouldn't be in movies these days. It's just kind of, oh, here's a black New Yorker, you have to be shouty and obnoxious. Now, whether that's the actress who's shouty and obnoxious or whether that's the character she's been given to portray, I don't know. But either way, it just looks awful. And it has no place in modern filmmaking, if you ask me. Pete. Help me out here. I'm going off on one.
I loved it. No, I'm kidding. The look on your face says, No, I'm riding the Drew boat.
Name of his sex tape.
It was shocking. I wanted to.
Sorry, I need to just get that image out of my head.
What, your sex tape?
No, Pete's riding the Drew boat. That's just I'm never going to sleep again.
Sorry.
Continue.
What was I saying? I wanted to have a little bit of hope for it, and I kind of thought I was going to get that hope when they just played that little piano Ghostbusters tune. I was like, do you know what? This could be pretty epic. The music's getting me ready for it. And then the rest of the trailer just vomited out onto the screen. Quite literally in certain points. Yeah, literally. And it was bollocks. I can't work out whether it's a remake, whether it's a reboot, or whether it's Ghostbusters 3, because they made reference to the original movie 30 years ago. They showed the Ghostbusters firehouse, and they in the trailer they're actually in the Ghostbusters firehouse, but yet we've all seen the new headquarters as a Chinese restaurant. Where I don't understand. We're gonna have to watch the movie to work out where it goes. But what the worst thing is that you've made a film that purports to be in a different universe to the original one. It purports to be
something new and different, and it's not the same, and it's not a reboot. Well, is it a reboot? Isn't it a reboot? Who fucking knows? But then you've got the most ridiculous thing in the fact that it says at the very beginning, 4 scientists saved New York. At least do your fucking research, because only 3 of them were scientists and Winston wasn't. It's just like, so they couldn't even get that right.
He might have got his degree in the last 30 years.
But he wasn't a scientist when he saved New York, though.
No, but
No,
okay.
which way you try and save them? Don't save them, Pete.
Well, no, I like
That's
Winston.
saying it's not a reboot either, but you've got 3 scientists and then you've got a black woman who isn't a scientist.
Yeah. Which is exactly the same, except...
And a black car turns up and they paint it white and call it Ecto-1.
Yes.
Which looked like it just had bloody yellow buckets on the roof with lights flashing inside. There was no kind of Ecto-1 feel about it.
And, you know, it's like, it's a hearse. Yeah, well, we know that, because it was it a hearse? It was an ambulance before, wasn't it?
But the one they've got looks like a fucking road sweeper now, doesn't it? With the little yellow lights going on top and the giant foghorn.
And the whole, and there's people on Facebook going, oh, really can't wait for this movie now. I've seen the trailer, it looks amazing. I'm like, what? Seriously, go out and watch The Princess Bride. Pete.
Again.
Okay, I'll go watch it again. But the other thing I didn't like about it either is that they've kind of, whereas Ghostbusters had that comedy feel about it, it was still grounded to the real world. In the trailer, her head fucking turns around, and you know, that is not even physically possible.
The whole possessing part, that's when it really...
that is just...
No.
Well, and the fact that she punches a ghost with a kind of proton fist or whatever it was.
Proton knuckle duster.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing just
but again, that technology is changing, isn't it? How could we... I'm not saying I like this idea of it, but we can't argue that they can't have knuckle dusters that defeat ghosts when you can see a Civil War trailer where Iron Man can develop a robotic hand out of a watch.
Well, you can argue that, and I'm going to, because knuckle dusters that punch ghosts are fucking ridiculous. More so than a fucking proton pack that catches ghosts. I mean, really, come on. And it's only there, its only device is to try and be funny. Now, there was no nuance to the comedy in that film whatsoever. Well, in the trailer at least, there's no nuance to the comedy whatsoever. The comedy came about from the original Ghostbusters, from clever script writing and brilliant acting.
Yeah.
So, you know, and a lot of it was sarcastic. Well, obviously Bill Murray's in it. So a lot of the comedy is sarcastic and clever. But with this one, like you say, people's heads turning round, being vomited on, slapping someone. You know, it's just... It's like, really? What is this? Carry on up the ghost chase? I'm sure that should have been better. Or maybe I'll figure out something else to drop in there.
What if we got it all wrong? What if Ghostbusters movie isn't what we think it is, and the cast from the original movie that have signed on to do the reboot end up just shooting the shit out of these women with their original proton packs because that was the ghost world?
Another one
Think
of Pete's
about
crazy theories.
Pete's amazing theories. How about if Falcon comes in and chops all their heads off?
Well, actually, I'm calling my theory now. Chris Hemsworth, he's the bad guy.
You reckon?
Yep.
Well, he kicks the doors open in a kind of menacing way, doesn't he?
Yeah, but that was when they were discussing the fact that like people can be possessed by spirits.
So you think Chris Hemsworth is the one who's
But
doing
I still
the
think
whole...
he's the one behind it all, because it just seems a little bit weird that they've got this pretty boy as a receptionist and they're 4 girls which are kind of like, oh, he's so handsome.
Well, like I
he
say,
could do nothing wrong, and actually he's the bad guy.
Well, like I say, you know, when that was the moment when they lost their moral high ground, wasn't it? Really, it was like, yeah, your moral high ground's getting flooded in fucking water right now because, you know, you've given it all the, oh, you know, it's just all about equality. Oh, we'll choose an eye candy secretary. So actually, what are you making, a film or a fucking Diet Pepsi advert? Do you know what I mean? It's like, that's exactly what it struck me as, you know. It's like,
I'd be happy with this movie if the original cast handed over to 4 women.
I would have been happier with this movie, A, if it had never been made, B, if it had been made by a director with any kind of credibility whatsoever.
Definitely.
Who just doesn't make fucking terrible slapstick shit comedies. Because it was from the moment it started, and
it was Bridesmaids and The Heat, just with proton packs, doesn't it?
Yeah, and supernatural bullshit. You know, and fucking...
That was my argument. I was like, I'm not worried about it being 4 women. It's the 4 women they've chosen.
4 women they've chosen, but also, you know, also
the director they've chosen.
It's the director. Everything falls on him, and the fact that he chooses the same cast. You know, he likes that fat bird.
Melissa McCarthy.
He likes, yeah.
Ooh, he knows her name.
Well,
What do you mean? You love her?
it's his girlfriend.
I think we should boycott it. We should get everyone now. Start a whole petition. The night it comes out, no one goes to watch it. They sit at home. They watch the original 2 Ghostbusters on DVD.
What we should do, actually, is petition our local cinema to play Ghostbusters 1 on the same night and see how many people go to see each one. They won't do it, obviously, but that would be awesome. Is there any hope for it?
Director's cut.
The end credits.
It's the fucking director that's the problem. So we need someone else to cut it. Well,
Get the Daredevil directors to cut it.
well, do you know what?
How about we just cut the director? Let's just find him and shiv him.
Okay, I don't like him. I'm not sure that I'd want to stab him.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah, I fucking would.
Not only would you want to, but you'd want to stab him with the original reel from the first movie.
No. I'd
Just stab it into his chest.
I'd like to stab him with one of the new proton packs, which looks older than the old proton packs, which is clever. How the fuck have they managed that? So they've got a shittier car, crappier props, worse special effects, even though we're in the digital age, a terrible cast, awful script, shit acting, rubbish directing. Apart from that, I think it's going to do really well.
And a ghost trap, which looks like a LED bear trap.
What the fuck was that?
You know, when they slap that trap shut, I expected a DJ to go whoop whoop, and all the lights just start flashing on again.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I'm happy about it, which is quite sad. It's quite sad. I mean, it does actually mean now that it is going to be lower in my expectations than Independence Day 2, which I was worried that it might be better than Independence Day 2, but I think Independence Day 2 is going to be shit as well. But yay, Ghostbusters! All those people who've been going, you can't judge it until you watch it. I knew it was going to be rubbish from the very beginning, and I'm very happy that I was right. And unless it comes out in a completely different way, like that person who recut the trailer without any of the slapstick comedy in it, that was quite hilarious. Is there any hope for it?
No.
Do you think that I can't see, because normally the first trailer is either a small teaser that makes you go, oh fucking hell, or is the kind of one that's meant to hook everybody in to watch more trailers and everything else.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I'm still probably going to go and see it.
Why?
Because I want to know what it's like.
Wait for the DVD release. You can't say everyone should sit.
Yeah.
We should all boycott it and sit at home and watch the original one, and then go, oh, I'm going to go and watch it. Actually,
I think I'd rather spend my money on something else.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll all come round here. We'll get some beers and we'll watch Ghostbusters 1
And 2.
on Blu-ray.
Let's watch them both.
I'm not sure I want to watch the second one. It's a bit crap.
And then we should play the video game. Ghostbusters video game.
Do you know what? I've never played it.
What?
Well, because when it came out, my Xbox blew up, and by the time I got another one, I just missed it. So I've played like the first 10 minutes.
Is it backward compatible?
No. I was really hoping that they were going to do a remake.
Because I've still got my original copy. I will not trade it in because it was probably one of the best games I've ever played.
Wow, fucking hell.
Will not trade it in. I fucking loved that game.
Briefly, when I worked at Blockbuster, I took a copy home.
I've heard really good things about it.
It was blinding. That to me was Ghostbusters 3.
Yeah. It's got all of them in it, hasn't it? They're all
Yeah,
in
but
it.
the storyline was amazing.
Well, it was written by them as well, wasn't it? So
Have you got a 360 still?
No.
No. Have you?
No, I've upgraded.
Yes.
He's got 360. We'll bring it around. Borrow it.
Okay. Well, I'm pleased that we should definitely do that, though, I think. We'll get together around here and have a movie night and we'll watch Ghostbusters on Blu-ray instead of going to see the shit film.
Do you think they'll pull Chris Hemsworth's like mask off and go, "Oh, I would have got away with it if it wasn't for those pesky women"?
It wasn't for you pesky women. That would have been brilliant.
And they'll just be like, "Yeah, you sexist creep," and slap him or some shit like that.
And then go back to reading the Mary Sue online. I'm so happy.
You are very happy.
It has made me happy, which is really sad that it's made me this happy. It shouldn't be making me this happy. You know, it shouldn't be. Reveling in other people's misery. It serves him right. He might as well have been touching up my mum.
Why would that have made you happy?
No. No. Might have made her happy though. You never know. Well, we've murdered that.
It's all about equality.
I'm quite pleased that Paul Feig may never get work ever again after this, which would be nice. Although the Wachowskis keep making films, and it doesn't seem to make any difference how shit they are. So he'll probably get another film. Hopefully he won't get to touch Ghostbusters again. And in the future, maybe in 10 years' time, we'll get a proper remake.
He's doing a remake of They Live Next, isn't he? I saw that online today.
Seriously, I would have to hunt him down. I would have to hunt him down.
He's going to use John Cena in the main role.
No, China.
And he's redoing the Princess Bride.
Did you see? Oh man, I've got to show you these at the end of the podcast. One of my distributors does They Live all over face masks, so it's like a rubber mask for the alien faces. Fucking gonna get some of them.
That's what I'm going to be cosplaying at my next.
You should do it. Honestly, I'll show you it when we finish.
It's easy to do as well. You just got to wear normal clothes and that mask.
Yeah, well, you have to wear a suit.
Well, I've got a suit.
Have you?
Yeah.
The one we're going to bury him in.
Yeah.
Whoa, that went dark. Fucking hell. That went dark quick.
Sorry, he's going to get married in.
So let's move on to any other business.
Quickly.
Yeah, before Stuart murders you.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant before you say more about Ghostbusters.
No, I've finished with that. I'm pleased. I'm happy. I feel enlightened.
You look younger.
Yeah, do you think?
Your shoulders seem higher.
Yeah, all of a sudden, it's like a weight has been lifted. No more Why So Blue, Drew. It's like
We might as well
first
just pack
day
up the
of
podcast
spring.
now. It's done.
So, Peter,
Yes.
I believe you have some other business for us.
Well, there's loads of other stuff going on, but I've actually been directed to a online comic, which I want to discuss.
Online
comics.
Well, it's actually for a Kickstarter,
Okay.
so they are trying to do a paperback version.
Oh, it's not. It's not like he's reading Batman Turtles online or anything.
Yeah.
Rather than buying it in shop.
Even though he did.
Turtles.
Carry on.
Okay. So my brother-in-law Russell
Yep.
has highlighted the fact that he's been searching for this. He's been searching for Kickstarters basically and looking at what new things are up and coming, and he found one called Turncoat, and this comic basically it's all online. You can view it all at the moment, but they're trying to get it off the ground in paper form, and they've just done so well in like the last 5 days. It's gone from just an online comic to having over £19,000 worth of pledges to get it off the ground, and it's absolutely fantastic, and it's well worth a read. It's done by two guys, and they've never even met. One guy lives in London, the other guy lives in New York, and they do everything just by communication, either on phone or online or whatever. But
Lucky bastards.
and it's taken them 2 years.
If only we could have done that.
They've done it in 2 years. We're trying.
Wow, 2
from
years.
2 years. I mean, how's yours getting on? But yeah, I mean, it's created by a guy called Ryan O'Sullivan.
Who?
Ryan O'Sullivan.
All right.
Do you know him? You sounded like you knew him.
No, I thought you said his name was Ryan. I thought you said his name was Lino Sullivan. I was like, isn't he in the Thundercats?
Yeah.
No, Ryan O'Sullivan.
Lionel Sullivan's better. Go with
Sutherland or Sutherland?
Sullivan. Jesus. And
This is going well, please.
I think the guy's now, I'm getting to pronounce this right, is Plaid Klaus. He's the guy from New York.
So is one the writer and one the artist?
It just says the creators.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't say which one does which. But yeah, it just says that Ryan's from London, England, and Klaus is from New York. But yeah, the two of them have worked on it for the last 2 years. And
So is Klaus's first name or his second name? I'm confused.
His first name is Klaus and his surname is Pad.
Why did he call him Plaid Klaus then?
Oh, I don't know. I could be wrong.
Unless they put his surname
yeah,
first.
I think they put his surname first in the first.
So is it O'Sullivan Ryan?
No, it's Ryan O'Sullivan. Oh, you're a fucking dick, aren't you?
No, what I'm saying is, they wouldn't have put Ryan O'Sullivan and then Plaid Klaus. It will either be one way or the other. So if his name's written as Plaid Klaus and Ryan O'Sullivan, it will be... his name will be Plaid.
I know what you're saying. But you're just ruining it.
I'm not reading it. I'm just trying to find out. I want to make sure we get his name right, for fuck's sake.
Take a deep breath, Pete, and start again.
Jeez. I'm going to have to. He's laughed the entire way through.
So, have you found his name yet?
Yes.
What is it?
Right, they've got it written here first of all. You've got created by Ryan O'Sullivan. And, I think Plaid. Is that plaid or played?
Plaid, probably.
Plaid,
As in,
yeah.
dead men don't wear plaid.
Yeah.
Okay. So his first name's Plaid,
Yeah.
and his surname's Klaus.
Klaus? I don't know. Klaus.
Yeah. Klaus.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what they've got it written here.
Okay.
And further down it says Ryan is from London, England, and Klaus is from New York. Do you want me to start again?
So
or
his actual name is Klaus then, by the sounds
Yeah.
of it.
possibly?
This is all very confusing.
It is very
Maybe he wears a
confusing,
lot
but-
of plaid and it's like Plaid Klaus.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Dead Klauses don't wear plaid. So that was good anyway. Stu, have you got any other business?
I don't even see what the comic's about.
Come on, carry on.
I'm really interested.
Well, I think you'd actually like it, you two.
Okay.
Okay, what's it about?
Basically, it's about a corporate, I can't even think of the word now. Corporization. Is that the right word for it?
Corporation?
Corporation. Yeah. Okay. It's basically about a corporation of assassins that take out superheroes, which are up and coming. So I don't want to go into it too much, but the story unfolds and gets pretty cool. But the first issue is about this guy called Duke. He's an assassin, and he has to go and take out a guy called Bug Boy, who's basically a rip-off of Spider-Man. But because he's in the early stages and they don't want him to become as big as the other superheroes, they pop him off before he can get any bigger. So they kind of control the number of superpowered people in the world.
Okay.
When the population of superpowers starts to get too big, they go in and they give them missions to go and pop them off.
So these guys don't have any powers.
Well, some of them are. It's the corporation's like arranged by villains, but they've kind of, instead of like becoming villains and tackling the superheroes out in the open and getting beaten, they've formed this business, this dummy corporation called Phone Homie. And they have little
Phone Homie.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And they basically do it all in secret. So the superheroes just go off and do all these other little things and save people and protect the world, whilst the villains like conspire against them secretly and then pop them off at the ones that they know they can take off to start with. But it's pretty funny, and it's well worth a read.
So their Kickstarter was to actually get a print version done, is it?
Yeah, they were releasing a page every 2 days.
Right.
Until they've released the entire book, and it's 6 issues long.
Right.
And you can pledge to the Kickstarter, and you get like a digital copy, or you can get a hardback copy. But they want to get it off the ground. And
Have you pledged?
no, I haven't, not yet. I'm waiting till payday. But is it? I mean, I would quite happily get the digital copy or the book again, even though I read it.
Well, now
Because
we've given them a massive plug. They might give you one for nothing. Maybe we could arrange for them to.
It depends on what we can work out from this. Everything I've said.
We could get them on as special guests.
Well, yeah, we could do. The guy was at LSCC.
Oh, was he? Is that Plaid Clouds or?
Well, I'm guessing that's Ryan. If they've never seen each, never met up or anything, then I'm guessing it was just Ryan that was. But I mean, that's all part of a comic company, T Pub. I don't know if you saw them at LSCC. Sorry, I keep getting those two confused.
No, I didn't leave the store.
You didn't leave the store, but did you?
Stuart kept fucking off.
You may have seen their other. You may have seen some of the other works, Twisted Dark.
Oh, I've heard of Twisted Dark.
Yeah. So I mean, I've read a couple of those as well. Their online bits. So.
That was these guys.
No, they're all part of the same publishing group. The T Pub.
That'd be a shit pub, wouldn't it?
Tea pub.
If it only served tea.
Well, it depends on what you're into. But yeah, just to round it all up, definitely go and check out turncoat.com is their website, and you can pledge, or check them out on Facebook. They've got some pretty cool stuff on there.
Turncoat.com is where you can read the book.
Yep, you can read what they've done so far, and you can pledge them as well. But there's definitely even if you don't, you can't pledge at the moment, then because obviously it's only for a couple of days, it's well worth reading the comic because it's fantastic.
Cool. Well, hopefully we can get in touch with those guys and see if we can stock it when it comes out. I mean, it sounds great. I like the premise. I like the idea of a kind of multinational group of villains deciding that actually there's too many superheroes, so we need to bump them off before they get too powerful. I think that's a cool little idea.
It is a really cool idea, and the artwork is pretty good as well. Right. Have you guys read Dial H for Hero? The DC?
No.
No? It's really kind of like similar sort of like art style to that.
That doesn't help us, we haven't read it.
No, but other people out there might have.
Okay, that's a good point. I forgot we
were
were talking to other people. Stu, before we go, have you got any other business?
I don't think I do this week. No.
Wow.
What about
Just not
Daredevil Season 2, new picture of Punisher?
That does look pretty good, actually.
They finally released the costume today.
And they've released a new X-Men Apocalypse poster as well. That looks a lot better. The Apocalypse is actually beginning to look quite
big and menacing
now, rather than a cosplayer.
Yeah, that was quite clever in the fact that they released that original image and then went, actually, everyone thinks this looks shit, better change it. Well, I don't really have any other business today either. I've been through all the comics and everything that I've been reading. I have been playing the Uncharted Nathan Drake collection again in the run-up to Uncharted 4 being released, which has been delayed by another couple of weeks, so it's coming now in May rather than April. It was originally supposed to be the end of March. But yeah, I love those games and they're amazing. So one other thing I'd like to say briefly, talking about video games, is that Microsoft this week announced that they were closing Lionhead Studios and ceasing production of Fable Legends straight away. So Fable Legends, which had already gone to beta and people had already been playing it and were saying that they thought it was really good, has just been closed and cancelled, and the studio's closed. So there was another studio as well whose name escapes me, but they also closed that studio as well. So lots of people lost their jobs, which isn't great. And Lionhead never really lived up to the potential of the first Fable game, I thought. Or Black and White, actually both Black and White and the first Fable game were both brilliant. And it's a shame that these essentially independent studios get swallowed up by these big companies and then get just put out of business. Because of a stupid decision. Well, I say a stupid decision, but like an executive decision. And they get bought out with such a huge amount of money, and then and I find a lot of it now means that the creativity in the video game industry is waning. and the big companies aren't investing any money in anything that isn't a remake of something they've already done. So best of luck to all the people from those studios who are now looking for jobs, basically, and I hope they find new jobs soon. So on that cheery note, let's call it a day. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you out there for your questions. I'm glad we didn't answer them in any satisfactory way whatsoever. So thanks very much and good night.
See you later.
Bye.
Ah, balls.
Name your sex tape. Yeah, go on.
I had everything written down on my iPad, which I didn't bring with me.
You're joking?
No, hang on.
As usual, talking smack, well organised.
It is, actually.
So,
Oh, crap.
Pete had all the answers written down on his iPad.
Well, they're not
Which he
answers,
put-
are they? They were just like notes and bits and pieces. But here we go.
Do we?
Yeah, no, I'm just... Because I'm using the WhatsApp chat thingy to work out what exactly was asked. Okay, we got a
We
message
are
that...
fucking smooth. Fucking
You
smooth.
can cull this out.
It's like a fucking well-oiled machine. This podcast, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're like so professional.